Thank you, everybody, and thank you for not booing when somebody said the term sales director. I promise this won't be a 10-minute sales pitch. I want to have a very interesting overview of international localization and provide some really interesting data for you today. A good friend of mine, actually, Jonathan Hall at Cranberry Panda. Where are you, Jonathan? There he is at the back. Mentioned that it's National Joke Day today. So I was having I raised a challenge to the following speakers today, especially you, Michelle, who I think will have some really good French jokes for us tonight, to basically give a joke at the beginning of your presentation. Shaking his head. To basically give a joke at the beginning of your presentation. I was having a good chat with a lady from Ted Baker, and it turns out that we're both massive film fanatics. So my joke is a completely unrelated to e-commerce film joke, and it's terrible. So if anybody can tell me what is what is ET short for? Because he's got little or short legs, correct. So just checking you're all awake. So anyway, jokes aside, so Globally are basically Europe's biggest international localization e-commerce provider. We basically provide end-to-end international localization for UK-based businesses, enabling them to sell to over 100 countries worldwide. We're currently processing a high five-figure volume of orders from the UK outbound, which is due to hit six figures by the end of 2015. We cover everything from 10 languages, localized currencies. We provide 50 different local currencies, over 45 different payment methods, using 12 different international carriers in order to provide that service to our customers. And there is a snapshot of our customers. Okay. So, obviously, international, we're all here to talk about international. There's massive growth in international. Within the last 5 years, we've seen around a 25% increase in international payments. Customers actually shopping online cross-border. So massive growth, massive demand. But the amazing thing, and this was down to a PayPal report, is that the UK is actually the third biggest country when customers actually look to purchase internationally. So customers actually look to the UK only slightly behind the USA and China. So there's a massive opportunity that we all know about to really reach international customers and obviously to localize for those customers. Shout out to the IMRG. I used to work for them, so I had to say that. They put together a fantastic report where they polled all of their retail members about which territories and which countries they currently ship to. So here you can see that primarily UK retailers were shipping to the USA and Canada and EU. No real surprises there. Expat communities like Australia and through all the way down to China. But to be frank, it's not good enough, because ultimately this isn't not good enough about the IMRG. It's purely about the data that the retailers gave, because ultimately retailers, you guys may be offering shipment options to customers, but they're perhaps not as targeted or as tailored as your UK offering. So it's really important that you start to think about distribution as well as part of your e-commerce cycle in order to provide great value to your local customers in those markets, because they do demand it. And of course, you guys are going to get a lot of visits from international customers, and you sometimes will get one chance to close those customers. So by being very upfront about those delivery charges and timeframes and where they can have their items delivered to, you obviously run the risk of hopefully closing their business. But shipping is just the tip of the iceberg. So talking more about this PayPal report that came out towards the back end of last year, they basically questioned their consumers about their sort of key barriers to international purchasing, basically, and purchasing cross-border. And the primary one, 51% of those customers said that delivery was their major blocker. So, even if you are offering these international options to deliver products, they still, aren't good enough, and customers will just not purchase if they feel as if the options aren't there for them. So, again, if you look as well, you can see that delivery time as well. So transit time isn't fast enough. So, just because you offer a European road to some countries doesn't mean that 10 days is good enough to get their order. And also no tracking or local notification within that market. So, the way to solve this is by looking at your distribution partners that you're using internationally, not just for Europe, and thinking about how you can use different providers to each market, not just the same UPS, the DHL, because these guys can't get you into Russia, they can't get you into China. So start thinking about the types of companies that you can use to get you into all markets, not just to be incredibly broad and offer the same service to everybody. We all want to purchase in different ways with our retail brands. Also, concern about customs and taxes, international duty, and and obviously for territories outside of the EU 28, it's really, really important that you're able to be upfront about your guaranteed landing cost or duty and tax. A lot of you guys in the room, I look through your T's and C's, and it's hidden. The information is hidden away. Why? Be upfront about it. And actually, in these territories where they're outside of the EU 28, you're not charging VAT. Start thinking about maybe subsidising the cost of this, into the price of products. Take away a percentage of your VAT and subsidise it into the cost of your products. At least give the option to prepay it. Returns, again, it's obviously a key part as well for primarily for a lot of fashion retailers out there and everybody else. Be upfront about it. This is a messaging issue, but also now you've found these local carriers for each market. Really harness them to get your return options in place, because if I have to wait 20 days for a refund to send a product back from the US, it's just not good enough. We all hate nasty surprises, and so I think it's really, really important that you're clear and upfront on the messaging on all these points. Security has traditionally been the pain point for all you guys. Making sure that the customer feels as if they're doing business with a legitimate business in an international marketplace. Making sure that the terminology used is concise, the URLs are concise, but also you're not rerouting them to some crazy URL that isn't consistent with the rest of your customer journey to process a payment. It just doesn't make sense. So make sure that you're using and being very, very transparent on the security side. Some of you known brands out there, you're probably going to struggle with that slightly less. Local payment methods, there's a whole host of different payment methods that you can use, and I'll go into this in a bit more detail in a moment. But ultimately, the PayPal themselves actually said that only 33% said preferred payment method wasn't always offered, wasn't a big issue. That may well be a loaded comment. I don't know. It is by PayPal, who knows? And then finally as well, language as well. So language support is, it only says 26%, but I still think that's that should be perhaps considerably higher than that. I think offering a local service to customers is important. However, if you're a well-known established UK brand, primarily customers may well want to do business with the UK business. So to do this effectively, you have to spend a hell of a lot of money, and in order to do that, you need to make sure that you've got the right third parties in place for all of these different markets, whether that's delivery, whether it's payments, whether it's security. This means spiraling investment costs. It means increased time to market for all of these different markets, building local sites to every single one of them, if you haven't got them already, and then managing them on a day-to-day basis, and all of those international regulations and legislations as well. And also the need to source extra staffing requirements as well as part of that. So nowadays there are a lot of technology providers who can provide deployment into multiple markets, all from your existing website, potentially like globally. But again, this isn't a sales pitch. So there you go. So basically, when you remove these blockers, so when you move all of these different issues, you start thinking about actually how you're going to start seeing conversion across all of these different territories. So some examples that we've generated here from the data that we provide across all of our clients and all of our deployments internationally, we actually saw that 99% of customers, they want to purchase using their local currency. Only 1% said, okay, I'll pay in pound sterling, I'll pay in US dollars, I'll pay in euro. Really, really important that you're able to offer those multiple currency options. US customers also, 55% of them said they want to prepay their import duty and tax. So that's in the scenario that they don't have the option to have that bundled into the pricing or their local pricing. So again, and even territories like Canada, where they're also charged a handling fee over $250, it's super, super important that you're able to incorporate that cost, or also make them aware of that cost at the point of checkout, even if it's a simple wording front. And also payment method by breakdown. So ideal we all know about, right? Everyone goes on about that all the time, but primarily it's a massive, massive payment method in the Netherlands. But it's school time class, and I need to see some hands. So how many of you have got Mullibanco as part of your payment service providers? Payment options. Hands, please. Anybody? I'm not going to pick, literally, I'm not going to pick on anyone. 2 people there. They both work for Globally. That's embarrassing. Hands down, guys, hands down. But basically, Multibanco is massive in Portugal. We all go there on holiday every year. I went there last year. It was amazing. But if you don't support the local payment method, then guys, they're not going to convert. So, across all of these different areas, you're liable to see 45 to 115% uplift if you can cover off all of these key barriers. So here's a quick example on how you can do that. So Swim Shop or Swim Direct are one of our clients, part of the Sports Direct group. They offer, as part of the service, a localized, across all our clients, localized welcome message, which means that when the customer hits the site, you're getting a lot of traffic at the moment from all different territories. You offer them a local message just to say to them, okay, you can purchase here, you can buy these products, you can prepay your guaranteed landing cost, this is the delivery cost, or this is the transit time. Just be really, really upfront about how these customers can purchase. I mean, they're only going to see this once, right? And then also think about localized messaging. So again, this is really simple, but things like banners for free shipping, that's such a simple content change that you can implement on all of your different deployments. But also things like local support phone lines, and actually adding a local number. Again, it feels like you're doing business, or you're buying from a local company. The prices are presented as well in local currency, which is really, really important, because you should start to think about how you support a local pricing strategy. So how you're managing things like VAT rules outside of the EU, or even how you're being competitive with businesses that are absolutely killing it in their local markets, like you guys are in the UK, and some of you internationally as well. And then also start thinking about actual rounding rules. So rather than going to a UK website or an international website and seeing some bizarre pricing point like £52.78, which just turns me off in terms of making a purchase, add a local rounding rule. So, for example, Germany, you can add a .95. For Japan, you can add a closest 100 yen. So make it really consistent to the customer that they're doing business with a local retail website. Checkout, make sure the checkout is in local currency. It's just a simple thing, but make sure it all carries across. And then moving on as well, you also you can also give the customer the option to prepay duty and tax within the checkout. So again, make sure if you're not looking into this, that you're sourcing partners that can provide the option to do this. And if they're not doing this, then look at importing it and providing it within the price of the actual product itself. Again, it's really, really important that, you don't end up like me when I met a really tall lady with dinner plate hands. No nasty surprises, right? No, don't pity me. Yes, it's a problem. It happens. At checkout as well, localization. So in terms of that translation, so I think we're going to have a little bit more in translation, and we saw some excellent stuff from the practicology guys earlier on this. But checkout, it's the most important part of the buying journey at this stage, because you've got them into the checkout and then they don't understand what postcode means or zip code, or they don't understand why it says card number and not bank account name or bank account number. So actually, in offering a local language to the customer, or the option to at least select one, it means you can get the customer out of the buying journey as quickly as possible. And by that, I don't mean abandoning the basket. I mean moving them on and processing the order. Really, really important to focus on this. And then also think about your local payment offerings. So being able to be dynamic to each market, to China, offer Alipay, UnionPay, Tenpay, to obviously Netherlands, Ideal, and Multibanco for Portugal, and even JCB. We saw a 52% conversion uplift across all of our US deployments that we're actually purchasing when we added JCB as a local payment method in the US. So a massive uplift that we saw within the US as well. So, in short, it's really, really important that you offer these positive building blocks once you knock down the barriers. And, once you've removed them, you can give your customers, no choice to go and buy elsewhere internationally. Thank you very much.